Good Tuesday morning, everybody. And it is October baseball. Just exactly what we want to see. And today's games are on the family of ESPN networks. Let's give you the rundown. Starting first pitch at about 3:08 this afternoon. That's going to be on ABC nationally. From the Trop in St. Petersburg, it's going to be Texas taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Toronto is at Minnesota. That's game one of that series. That's a 4:38 first pitch. ESPN has the call on that one. Arizona is at Milwaukee. That game one in the National League starts off at 7:08 this evening. That's on ESPN2. And then Miami and Philadelphia in a game at Citizen Bank Field at the Bank in Philly. That's an 8:08 start on ESPN. And tell you what, doesn't get any better than good old-fashioned October baseball, playoff baseball. So ESPN has the first round of playoffs, and they will take it to the weekend. Then we're going to see a split, and the split will be on the Discovery networks with with the folks over at what formerly was known as Turner. It's Warner Brothers Discovery, and they will have it starting to stream on Max, as a matter of fact. And you can also obviously watch it on TBS, and that's the American League playoff, divisional playoffs, and the divisional playoffs for the National League will be on Fox. So those will be on the weekends. For right now, all you have to know is this, that the next 3 days are going to be played on ABC, ESPN, ESPN2. So there you go. Not too hard to figure that one out, or to find it for that matter. All right. It took us about 4.5 minutes to get to the most important thing, and that is that the NBC Sunday night game between the Chiefs and the Jets, or as we like to call it, the Swift Bowl, drew a monster 27 million viewers. Okay? That was the most Sunday watched show since Fox telecast Super Bowl 57 back in February. Now, how important was Taylor Swift to this? This number's mind-boggling, okay? The Swift effect generated 2 million additional female viewers to the telecast, okay? So try to get your head around that. Now, this Chiefs-Jets, it's a Sunday night game. They're going to draw probably close normally to maybe 15 or 16 million. Not a bad number. Usually wins the week. 27 million people tuned in to watch the Jets-Chiefs game Sunday night. And, the budding romance of 2 weeks of, at least 2 weeks that we know of Travis Kelce, the tight end for the Kansas City Chiefs, and the aforementioned Taylor Swift has seemed to generate just ridiculously monstrous numbers for the NFL. So as Swifties taken over the NFL, it certainly looks that way. They are doing quite well, thank you, coming to watch the games. Now, obviously, from a standpoint of Taylor Swift's not going to probably be at every one of those games. So the NFL is benefiting by the Swift effect, which seems to be a little bit crazy, but hey, some serious numbers though. The Taylor Swift tour, which is paused for the moment because she's taking a little bit of a rest before heading out for the rest of it, has already generated locally to the areas where her concerts have been held, approximately $5 billion, according to CNBC. And Swift alone, according to CNBC, will generate, when the tour's over, somewhere in the neighborhood of $2.2 billion, which will not only eclipse any concert tour in history, but we're talking crush it. It's probably going to be 2 or 3 times what the numbers were for, all the concerts prior to Taylor Swift's concert tour. And there's still over 50 some dates to go in South America, then off to Australia, and it seems to be that the Taylor Swift effect is having some pretty good benefits for the NFL. So there you go, boys and girls. All right, moving on. NBC Sports is going to join Fox Sports, ESPN, Apple TV, and probably Prime Video in the battle for the expanded college football playoffs in 2026. Now, it's 2026 is when it starts, but there's preliminary discussions going on, and NBC wants in. Fox wants in. ESPN obviously has it now. They want to keep it. Apple and Prime Video want to be a part of it. So what happens next? Okay, so basically here's the deal. They will begin to put together a process. Now, it's an expanded playoff, remember? So it's not just 4 games anymore. It's going to be 12, okay? So what happens here is College Football Playoff Association would likely split it. So they could do like they do with the Super Bowl, where NBC gets one, Fox gets one, ESPN, ABC get one. Meanwhile, the streaming aspect of it, Apple and Prime would probably get early games. Okay, so maybe the first or second round games could be streamed on Apple and Prime. So your championship games would be more in a Super Bowl like rotation as opposed to right now it's all ESPN. And ESPN there's certainly not they don't really have the money. Disney at this point doesn't have the cash to bank it all. So there's going to definitely be a partner in there, and likely 2 or 3. So we certainly expect Fox to be in there. They've been heavily involved. And so ESPN, Fox for sure. I wouldn't be surprised if NBC Sports, got involved in that. Now, if you recall, Fox and NBC Sports are already involved in the deal for, as is CBS, is the deal on the Big Ten championship games. So it would follow that these 3 networks right now, NBC, Fox, ESPN, could, as I said, go to rotation for the CFP championship game. Meanwhile, earlier rounds could be airing on, or streaming in this case, on Apple TV Plus, Prime Video. Don't rule out the possibility at all of Peacock getting involved here. If NBC Sports is involved, then Peacock will be involved. And if ESPN is involved, ESPN Plus will be involved. So by all means, streaming will be elements of this. To what extent, we don't know. But we do know that for sure the NBC, Fox, and ESPN, ABC will be heavily involved in whatever the new CFP turns out to be. So let's keep an eye on that, okay, because that's going to be a very interesting deal from the standpoint of the newly expanded college football playoff. All right. Now, we know that one of the most interesting and probably fastest growing sports on TV here in the United States is Formula One racing. Very soon, I believe it's 2 weeks from now, there's going to be the F1 race, which everybody's very excited about in Vegas, which will actually take place on the Strip in Vegas. So, with the added, interest in Formula One, Apple TV is seriously considering now the worldwide broadcast rights to F1. And reports from Front Office Sports say that they may be willing to pay as much as $2 billion a year to get them. Okay, so that's a pretty hefty price tag. But, certainly it would follow suit with what Apple wants to do. And Apple's made it known from the get-go that they just don't want to buy content that can be seen in the United States. They want to buy content that's a worldwide content deal, which is why the MLS deal was a worldwide deal, and why when Leo and Messi came to Miami, it worked out well for them from the standpoint that they were able to sell a great deal of subscriptions worldwide based on Messi's following on an international level. So it doesn't surprise or shouldn't surprise anybody that Apple TV wants a serious bite out of the F1 racing. And F1, if they would go as much as $2 billion a year, I believe there's no question that they would probably get it, because that's way more than what everybody else is paying for it at this particular point in time. And I think, frankly, that F1 is in a situation where they wouldn't mind having one sole outlet for the entire world. It would make it easier for them. They've always been forward thinking, so I don't think that the concept of a streaming service having their rights is going to concern them. Certainly not when the rights are up in 3 years from now. So that is something to just put a pin in it and keep an eye on it, because right now it's something certainly of interest, and we'll see how that whole thing begins to play out. Let's take a look at some of our questions today. Immaculate, how you doing? Apple and Amazon is going to drive the numbers up. Absolutely, absolutely. There's no question about it that they will. They've got the money to do it. I mean, they certainly have. They have the cash and they're willing to spend it. As I just said, Apple's willing to put $2 billion a year into F1. Amazon has had success with their Thursday night football. As a matter of fact, for the third straight week in a row, they've won the Thursday night ratings race with Amazon Prime and Thursday night NFL football. And there's no reason to believe that that's not going to continue. So yeah, they're going to drive the rates up for the CFP, which is frankly what the CFP wanted. They wanted to get, break that ESPN hold on, on the championship games. So yeah, 100%. That's exactly, it's working directly into their wheelhouse in that way from a standpoint of numbers. So yeah, your point that they're going to drive the numbers up is spot on. I think that's really where they want to be, and that's okay with them. So, they're willing to pay. If they're willing to pay it, then good on them. As I said before, for the third straight week, Prime Video's Thursday night football on Prime beat all linear and cable networks to win the night for the streamer. That's the third consecutive time that the streamer has won on Thursday night, television. So there you go. That's pretty interesting from the standpoint of you don't usually expect streamers to get it, but hey, they got it this time around. So good on them. All right, let's take a quick look. Moen Sports. Hopefully, they have CFP games on over-the-air television. Don't put a paywall on them for Apple and Amazon. Moen, I think that the championship games, probably the final couple of rounds, like it is right now, the final four for sure will be on over the air. But ESPN's a pay service at this point in time, so it's not, and they're the ones that carry, championship games and such. So I would not. I wouldn't hold out a lot of hope that all of the games are going to be on over-the-air television. I think that the paywall definitely is going to be there, and whether it's ESPN or Prime, Apple, or Peacock, there's still going to be a paywall. For the championship game, no, I don't think so. For even the Final Four, perhaps not. But I don't see how they can get around it at this point in time. They've already established it, so I don't think they're going back. Utah. Justin, you're talking about Utah. Yeah, Utah took back their rights when AT&T, their regional network, folded. So what they're doing is they're offering Jazz fans a chance to sign up for Jazz TV Plus, which is an annual subscription for $125, and you get all 80 plus games, plus you get the preseason, you get regular season, and you get a number of interesting programming that is jazz centric. So if you're a Utah Jazz fan, they're taking it right there. They're also giving the games, televising all the games for free on over-the-air TV on KJZZ in Salt Lake City. Now, a single game, you're going to be able to do a monthly subscription of $15.50, or if you just want a single game, for in other words, there's a game that is of interest to you, and you just want to stream that one, they're offering a $5 single game pass. So it's a very interesting dynamic, and I'm really interested in finding out how the fans go to it. Because I mean, everybody said, well, gosh, if all we just want to see our teams, and so it was a direct consumer concept. This is the fans are the Jazz, the Clippers, and Phoenix Suns have all taken that as well. So I think that we're going to see more and more direct consumer content, and so I wouldn't be surprised that that the Clippers deal, which we haven't seen what it's going to be yet, or the Suns deal, which again we haven't seen that one either. But the first one out of the gate was the Jazz. It makes sense because it gives you the option of the entire season. Um, it gives you the option of taking it month by month, or in this particular case, you just buy a single game. So we'll see how that works out for them. It basically mathematically comes out to about $1.50 per game. So there, certainly, I didn't do that math. Thanks very much to Justin Hiskman for that. Justin, thank you very much. So there you go on that, boys and girls. Let's move on to more questions. Uh, Virginia Tech is welcoming Stanford plus SMU and Cal to the ACC. Friends forever. Okay, Amy, I'm glad to hear that Stanford welcomes SMU and Cal. Well, I'm not sure how keen they are. Welcome Cal. That's the rival. They come anyway. But the ACC. So yeah, they're excited about it. I know that's for sure. And Stanford is really going to have some fun with a number of different schools that they haven't played in quite a while. So it'll be quite interesting. Okay, what do you got for me, Bill? Universities are now planning to pay celebrities to attend football games to drive up media revenue for out-of-state enrollment. I have not seen a single thing, Bill, that has said that. If you would be happy to, I'd love you to, show me where that stat is at. I don't see where university celebrities. I mean, look, there have been celebrities who graduated from universities who've shown up to games for years. I mean, going all the way back to Burt Reynolds at Florida State, Matthew McConaughey at Texas. Speaking also of Texas, Sandra Bullock. I mean, a lot of people have attended their own games without, their alma mater's games without being paid to show up. So I don't foresee universities paying celebrities to attend football games to drive media revenue. That just doesn't. First of all, they I don't see how they're going to square that with the universities themselves. I mean, I just don't see. Yeah, let's don't spend any money on the chemistry lab. Let's hire let's play a celebrity come in and attend a football game, and hopefully our numbers will go up. But no, usually it has to do with winning. If you win on the field, you don't have to worry about whether or not celebrities show up. The Taylor Swift thing, guys, is really just it's so out of the way from reality. It's funny. I mean, it's never the stars, no pun intended, have aligned perfectly for this. But then again, Taylor Swift's going to go back on tour in the not too distant future. We don't know the state of the relationship, so it's something that the NFL will ride as long as it can, but it's not going to last forever. And so the concept of paying celebrities or celebrities to come is crazy. Plus, then again, you've seen, Colorado, what's happened with Coach Prime. You know, it worked until it won't, and they got beat by Oregon pretty soundly, and they lost to USC, and so reality's starting to settle in on even that situation. So I wouldn't think necessarily that the star situation is going to make much difference. I think where we're talking right now is win on the field. That usually is what brings people back to wanting to go to the games again. Um, let's see. Did it do? Apple has a lot of cash to throw around, but so does Amazon. I would imagine that Apple and Amazon will offer bid numbers to get the CFP. True. We talked about that just a minute ago, but I do think that that still NBC, Fox, and ESPN will likely get the bulk of it, while Apple and Prime will get a few games, and work it that way. Now, 10 years from now, that may be a wholly totally different situation, but right now. Uh, Jimmy Pitero, the president of ESPN, says they want to have ESPN Plus with all of the content over there and available over there, both on cable and on ESPN Plus by 2025. So that puts them in line, Disney in line, for being streaming at that point as well. So, again, I still think over the years going to be where the championship game is and the playoff, the Final Four, but beyond that, I would not expect it wouldn't be behind a paywall of some sort. Um, the I thought ESPN had all the rights until 2026. Justin talking here now. Uh, Cause yeah, I think that they do, but then the contracts are negotiated years in advance. Um, so that's why it takes quite a while to, especially something as complex as this. I mean, you've got anywhere from 3 to 5 different entities, and that's just what we know. It could be even more. It could be YouTube, could be in there, all kinds of different people. So it takes a while to sort it out, and so it may take 2 years to make the deal. So yeah, for sure. I think that's where it's going to. They're having preliminary discussions, and preliminary is exactly what it means. Preliminary. It's not. Nobody's going to announce that who got it and who didn't get it um, this year, or probably maybe in 2024, maybe, but certainly not anytime soon because they've got to decide. First of all, they've got to decide how many games they want to play. Right now, it's supposedly 12. They also have to decide how many teams are going to be from different conferences and how many at-large bids and all that other stuff. So there's a lot of moving parts here, guys, before we ever get to that final four. But there's no reason to believe that NBC, Fox, ESPN, Apple, Prime, and everybody else who might very well be interested in it that we may not even know are going to be there. So by all means, that's something to keep an eye out for. Okay, and but don't focus just on that part of it. You think that streaming companies may not get the stream at live, but they'll have streaming available afterwards. I don't think. No, I wouldn't pay. I don't think that they're going to pay for that. I think that what might happen, well, and it's already happened, is that you can get it live, and then if you can get it on demand. So, in other words, if you miss the game, you can go and you can get it on demand. That's what the MLS does with their games on Apple, and you can watch the games on Prime, the football games as well. I don't think we can. I don't think that Apple and Amazon's going to pay for for delayed broadcasts. I think they're not going to not worth the situation for that. Um, but we'll see. I don't think the broadcast companies will pay as much if streaming companies are pulling viewers from them. Well, I think that they they're not competing. that's the problem. And so, in other words, let's say you've got a broadcast on ABC. Well, Apple's not televising the game, at the same time that you're up. So, are they? I don't think that they're going to pay as much. I would agree with that, but the final tally when you total it all up with say let's just say NBC, CBS, I'm sorry, NBC, ESPN, and Fox are the three broadcast networks, right? And then you add to that Apple, and you add to that, we'll say Amazon. Right? So that's five companies dealing with it, and they all could be paying, you know, a high price. And so at the end of the day, the total number of money that they put in there certainly could be a pretty staggering number, even if the broadcast companies don't pay as much as the streaming companies. And would the streaming companies pay, you know, a premium to get the content? I think they might. We should have to see, but I don't think the broadcast companies are looking at this as okay, we can get off on the cheap because the streaming companies are going to pull viewers from. I don't think that's the case. Again, you don't want to go head to head. That's the reason that Thursday night, for instance, the Thursday night game on Prime is the only game. There's no competition against it. I don't think that, and I think the same will be done with the playoffs. That when an Apple game or an Amazon game is on, there won't be another game being played at that time. There may be one. Let's say Apple has the 1 o'clock game, and then the 4 o'clock game goes to Fox or to somebody else. So you're not going to get into situations where you're going to have competing broadcasts, even from the standpoint of where say ESPN and NBC are going to do it. And it makes, from a programming standpoint, it makes no sense. You don't want to have to split your audience to watch games. You want them to watch them in time slots. So you're selling your time from 1 o'clock to 4 o'clock, your 4 o'clock to 7 o'clock, your 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock. So that's kind of the way that I expect that will go. And so I don't think that they're going to go up against each other, because that really wouldn't make much sense. You would be cannibalizing your own content. So maybe, but I don't think that's going to happen. Apple and Amazon will pay for that this time in order to get the foot in the door. That's thoughts on it. I just, again, I think that if I'm at Apple and Eddie Q over there at Apple, or Jason Day at Amazon, look, I want live programming. You're not going to get me to pay a single solitary penny for tape delay broadcast. It's meaningless. So, I think Apple and Amazon are going to pay what they have to pay to get it. That's why I said they're going to get the early games. So, in other words, they will get, it's going to be a 12-team deal. 12 teams in the tournament. They'll get the early games of the tournament. Think of the NCAA tournament, right? Where they have those play-in type games where you've got the Tuesday, Wednesday games, which are on True TV, right? That's the kind of thing we're looking at Apple. Apple and Amazon will get maybe the first couple games out of the block, and not the marquee names and the marquee games, and then that would matriculate through. So it's we'll have to see, but I wouldn't, if I'm Apple and Amazon. I'm not going to pay for anything that isn't live and isn't of some value. Never for the games a week. ESPN. They're never for the games a week. ESPN, Fox, NBC, CBS. I could suck those up. They could, but I just, again, we're talking about the playoffs here now. We're not talking about We're not talking about college football as we know it on a regular Saturday afternoon. We're talking about the playoffs, and I do believe that they could, bust the rotation and get in there and take some of them away. I mean, it's going to be up to the college football playoff people, but they've given every indication that they're warm to speaking to the Amazons and the Apples of the world. And remember, as I said before, ESPN by 2026 is going to be ESPN Plus by 2026 is going to be a streaming service. Yeah, they're going to continue to stay on cable, but ESPN Plus is going to have exactly what ESPN the cable has on them. So for all intents and purposes, by 2026, ESPN is going to be a streaming service. So there's going to be ways to fit other partners in there, and CBS isn't in the mix at this time. So Fox, NBC, and CBS. I'm talking about the CFP, not about the college football games at this point. Yeah, I mean, look, there's even there's a possibility that they could go to 16 or 26. There's a possibility that they could go to to even more. Make it like the NCAA tournament in college basketball. It might make a lot of sense, but I do think that there's going to be at least one streamer in the package somewhere. How they get them in, who knows? All right, what do we got? They sure open an app. We'll drive up the bid numbers. I don't see any high demand for postseason games being on streaming only. That's where I do. I would have to disagree on that. Anything you can have which is exclusive to you. I just had a conversation about Apple wanting to have F1 worldwide. Okay, Amazon having their Thursday night game, which is their own game, which is there. The numbers on the streaming for Amazon have been climbing. I mean, Thursday night, Amazon won the night for the third consecutive, week, beating out ABC, CBS, ESPN. Everybody who was televising something on Thursday night lost to Amazon. So I can see where a high demand postseason game being streamed only on Amazon or Apple wouldn't necessarily, again, cause any fear, or shouldn't cause any fear to the CFP. And look, let's be honest here. The CFP is key to the whole thing for them. Money. How much money can we get? And if Apple and Amazon are in there, and both of them have proven that they can pull an audience, then I don't foresee that being an issue. I think, excuse me, I truly think, because Amazon likes the one-offs, right? They like the single big event, that they would be more likely to be the partner on this deal than Apple. But that's not to say that Apple can't get in there. But think about what Amazon is doing. Amazon does Thursday night football. They have good relationships with NBC. They have good relationships with Fox. So I don't foresee that being an issue, and I don't foresee being putting a high demand postseason game on the streamer being an issue. Because look at we got in the NFL, we've got Peacock's going to have one this coming year. So no, I don't think that's going to be I don't think that's going to be a problem. I think that they're going to be able to make it work. Again, it all boils down to money. All right, that's the final bottom line, right? It's going to be how much money is one of these, would be Amazon or Apple or YouTube willing to spend, or for that matter, Peacock or Paramount Plus. So if they come up and put together a package which they can live with, they meaning the CFP can live with, I don't foresee that being a problem from the streaming only standpoint. But I mean, look, we'll see. It's remember the CFP people are TV savvy people. They're not like the Big Ten or the Pac or any of these other things, organizations run by college presidents. I mean, they do have a strong sense of television and what it's going to bring, and I think to jack up the price, they know that ESPN and Fox is not going to be enough to make it worth their while. They've got to bring in other people, so that's why NBC's there. That's why the streamers will be there. The more money they can get, the better off they will enjoy it, and it'll be for the the playoffs. So I do think it's going to be an interesting situation, to be sure. It'll be interesting to see who the partners are. It'll be interesting to see how they dole it all out. But I think at the end of the day, that Amazon or Apple or YouTube will be a part of it, or as I said before, Paramount or Peacock. There's going to be streaming there because, as I said before, not to beat on this one, but Jimmy Pitero says that they're going to be ESPN's going to be ESPN Plus is going to stream everything that's on ESPN that you can get right now on cable is going to be that way in 2025. So by 2026, that would be ESPN would be considered with ESPN Plus a streamer. So they're going to be there too. So it'll be very interesting how that plays out. But we should know something about it sometime next year. Probably not much now, but probably next year. Let's see, what do we got here? Let's see. It's going to be a consortium of bidway sidestep a joint bid requirement. Tom says it's going to be a consortium bid as a way to sidestep a joint bid requirement. Well, the consortium bid concept that they had was something they talked about before, and that would be no different than how the Big Ten handled it. They basically said these are our partners in this deal. So it's really just a matter of semantics. It's not really a matter of how you do it. It's just do you want to call them partners or consortium or whatever you want to talk about, or PAC, or other stuff. Sorry, I've got to get more excited. I know it's this is exciting stuff. I should be more excited about it. So let's see. What do we got here? All right, real quick. Eric, he's Apple and Amazon have the cash. I would imagine that they can drive the bid numbers up a bit, but in the end, it'll be the big three: Fox, NBC, and ESPN, ABC. All right. For the OTA, yeah, for over the air, I wouldn't disagree with that. I still think Amazon and Apple will be there when the time comes. Let's see what. Okay, let's talk about it. Okay, all right. How about this one? Sure, they're open to Apple and Amazon. They will drive up the bid numbers, but don't see any high demand for postseason games being on streaming only. I think we talked about that. Yeah, I think that I think we just talked about this. I'm sorry. Let me reread it. Sure, they're but high demand of post. No, again, they're. I think that Amazon and Apple have proven, certainly Amazon has proven, that they can attract an audience to a high demand game. They proved it in the NFL. Apple's proving it now with the MLS. I don't see where this is going to be anything that we have to concern ourselves about on whether or not how it's going to be delivered. We're not talking about the championship game. We're talking about games that are likely to be later, earlier in in the series, so they're not as important. I mean, they're obviously important because they're playoff games, but they're not as important as the championship game or the Final Four or anything like that. So, look, it's certainly. I don't see how they get away from it. I mean, these guys are going to come at them with a lot of money, and not gonna not gonna they're not gonna not take it. But that would not be the way things are normally done. And I don't think that they have the trepidation that others do. And like I said, by 2026, ESPN Plus is going to be there. So yeah, no, I'm not concerned. I think that if Apple and Amazon put in the bids, they'll get them. They'll get the game. Yeah, it's just the way it works now. I think that the CFP is embracing that concept of streaming. Hey, Kuz, how you doing? Listening while you travel. Do not. Oh, well, good. Be careful driving. Okay, it's tough out there. So let's go back to the questions on Twitter. All right. Let's see what we got here, and that is well, a lot of people thinking that Apple and Amazon are going to drive up the bids but not get what they want. I don't know what they want, so we'll have to find out what. Nobody at the moment knows what they want. They know that they want to be involved. That part we know. Everything else we don't. And it's not going to be known until probably sometime next year. So we have a little time for that. Oh, okay. So yeah, Dustin says he just signed up for Jazz Fans Plus, and that he's looking forward to the basketball season. Well, good for you, Justin. Glad to hear that you're having fun, and glad to hear that you jumped in and tried. Do me a favor. Let us know how you like it. I know they're going to have some preseason games coming up soon. Sure, I'll repeat that for you on the baseball today. VG would like to know where to find the games today. It's on the ESPN family of networks. Starting at 3 o'clock, game 1, Texas-Tampa Bay at the Trop. That game on ABC. Toronto, about an hour later. Toronto is at Minnesota. That's game 1 of their series in the American League. That's a ESPN broadcast. Then Arizona. The D-backs are in Milwaukee. That's a 7:08 start pitch time for ESPN2. And then tonight at the Bank in Philadelphia, it's going to be Miami at Philadelphia. Game 1 of that National League Series is an 8:08 first pitch, and that's going to be on ESPN. Okay, so that's where we are for today's October baseball. And okay, what was the number of the quick number on Taylor Swift? That was the Taylor Swift game on Sunday Night Football. 27 million, guys. 27 million. So that's a stunner. No question about that. All right. Excuse me. Let's see what we got here. One more. All right. And that's yes. Okay. The question about whether or not ESPN is going to have all the games. Well, they're going to have all the wild card playoff games. So Fox and the Turner Group, which is now Warner Brothers and Warner Brothers and Discovery, they're going to get into televising the games when you get to the American League and National League Division Series, which comes up this weekend. So they're kind of sitting on the sidelines waiting for that to happen. And remember that Max is going to be carrying those games, the games that would be on TBS. So you can watch them on TBS if you're a cable subscriber. If you're a streamer, you can watch them on Max. The Fox does not have a streaming component, so you're going to have to watch them on either over-the-air television, which you can do, and then FS1 has got the other games. So that's going to be, we have to do that one on cable. So that's where we can go with that. All right. Any final questions, class, before we get out of here today? Going once, going twice. Okay. Well, tell you what, it's been fun, gang. And we will see you, by the way, for those of you who have a chance, we'll see you later today. That's going to be at 2 o'clock with Amadeus and myself as we go over some of this fun stuff that's going to be happening in baseball today, and in college football, and college basketball's coming up, and the NBA, and all kinds of fun state. Have a great day to Immaculate, to Justin, to Coos, to Billy, to Jeff, to Dana, to BJ, all of you guys. Have an outstanding Have an outstanding day. And we'll be back here tomorrow at 10. We'll be back here this afternoon talking with Amadeus about breaking down those games. Okay? All right, everybody. Have a great day. Take care. And as always, we couldn't do it without you. Bye-bye.